Hi, I'm Christopher Hein, and today we're going to talk about what you do if you don't have a knife and they have a knife and they're going to attack you. There are a ton of ridiculous myths about this stuff. There are a bunch of bad ideas out there about this stuff. I'm going to give you all the information that I have about this stuff, and that comes from a long time of playing with exactly this scenario and what I've discovered in it. So real simple, I'm going to call Josh out here. We're going to go to work. Josh? All right, we're ready to go. Okay, so let's talk about what you do when they have a knife and you don't. So first thing you've got to understand is no amount of skill on earth can compensate for the advantages they have when they have a knife, right? So look, you could be a real buff, yoked, like military trained, have been in 1,000 engagements, right, and fought for your life a million times. And so you will be more prepared than a grandma who came at you with a kitchen knife. That's absolutely true. But if you guys are even approaching equal, the knife makes the other person in a huge advantage. And I know when I say that, people go, well, duh. But the truth is, people in their heads have some kind of crazy idea that, like, if I'm trained in the arts of Eskrima or Kali or Krav Maga or some martial art where we really do stuff, that I'm really going to be advantageous. But that's not true at all. They always have an advantage. And their advantages are many, right? So one, someone has a knife and they go like this, you could quite easily die, right? So I could cut his carotid, he could die. I could cut his belly, he could go into shock and sepsis and all kinds of terrible stuff as his guts are pouring out. So that will literally kill him. I can't, if I was the world's strongest man, I went like this with Josh, I couldn't hurt him even a little bit, right? So maybe he'd go, ooh, that didn't feel good because you're the world's strongest man. But if I'm a normal dude, I'm not even going to, that doesn't do anything, right? So the power advantage of someone with a knife is way bigger than your normal power without a knife, okay? Another thing is he's always going to have a reach advantage. So even if we're close, right? So look, just stick your arm out for me. Okay, so look, Josh's arm and my arm, pretty equal in length, okay? Now look, Josh is inside of my body here. He's inside of my body, and I'm touching at the tip of his shoulder, right? So meaning if we went like this and Josh comes in, he stabs me, I can't touch Josh, right? So he's got a huge advantage. And so that means when we're out here, he can be tacking out my arms and all kinds of things constantly. So he has huge advantages as far as his reach goes as well. So he's in a way better position with a knife. So as the person without the knife, you have to respect that first and foremost always. You can't in your head say, oh, in class last night, I learned how to do ski kodagaishi, so I'm totally ready, right? So you're totally not ready. Okay. So I got to respect the weapon, and the first thing I do with that is, of course, I try to maintain distance. Now I want to maintain the one-step distance with the knife in his hand, right? So meaning that if he stuck his arm out right now, this is now our ma'ai because I include the knife in that range. Now all this is doing is this range plus gives me enough reaction time to him. And I think that can kind of be a hard thing to understand, but so if I went, say a couple steps from Josh, right? So I'm a couple steps out from Josh. I know when Josh is walking towards me, so I can start walking out, right? So I have a huge advantage in that, or not advantage, but I have a huge neutralizing factor in that I can see him coming way in advance. But if we're in this distance, Josh can move his arm so fast that I just don't have the reaction time to deal with what he's up to, right? So my first way of respecting this guy who's got a weapon that will kill me at any time is to give as much distance as humanly possible. And I'm always first and foremost struggling for that distance. So if there's a struggle in it, it's me struggling to maintain distance while he's trying to chase me down. So I'd like to always stay at distance. Okay, now, if the distance gets broken down, get broken down for a few reasons. He's just lightning fast and I can't keep away from him faster than he can come in. 2, he gets me in a corner, so I can't get away anymore. He's got me boxed into a corner in some kind of way that I can't get out. Or 3, he surprises me, right? He's like, hey, Josh's like, hey, look over there. I look over there, and then he comes and kills me, right? Okay, so those are the 3 ways in which I'm not going to be able to make that distance anymore. The second that distance is broken down, I need to go active, right? So there's kind of a middle ground that's the dangerous ground, right? So if we have our ma'ai distance, so this distance plus, right? So if I'm greater than this distance, fantastic. That's where I want to be, okay? If I'm inside of here, that sucks because he can stab me, but I can also start to work with the knife and I can grapple and possibly get it out and all kinds of other things. However, there's a distance that's right in about here, right? So probably right about through there. That's bad for me, right? Real bad. And so that distance, I can't be there for any length of time at all. I need to be moving closer to him if I'm at that distance, or finding a really good way to escape that. So I have to use a suppression method in some way, right? So meaning when Josh is coming with the knife, I have to in some way start to suppress this. Now basically, all I want to do is press this knife back towards Josh. I want to press it into him. So that's what I'm thinking first and foremost. And if the knife keeps coming out, then later I can isolate the knife and get it out, right? But I want to press it in, and that's what I'm thinking, okay? This is what I think the root of Aikido is. If you look at older style jiu-jitsu, is like Josh coming with an overhead strike, and I just a showman. Yeah, I press, right? So that's what I'm looking to do, is just press into him. Now, if I do that, he can't stab me while I'm pressing him, right? So the second I go, oh, contact, I just shove that arm in towards him, right? Now, either I move him, which is fantastic, or he doesn't move, but his arm gets locked up, and that's fantastic. And then from that position, I can isolate the hand and work from there, right? So if I'm in the no man's land, I have to push deep into Josh, right? And I want to press that hand into him and suppress. Now, when I'm pressing into Josh, I want to be kind of careful with the way I'm suppressing his body, right? So meaning if Josh has the knife's out, okay, and I am suppressing like this, and he pulls the knife back across my hands, he slices both my hands open, and now I'm going to lose a lot of functionality like this, and I need that functionality. So really what I want is this kind of suppression instead, so he pulls it back, and that hits no vital areas, right? Now that's different than this, right? So this I don't want because that's all arterial. Everything in here is arterial, meaning it's oxygenated blood. I'm going to go down quicker than if he cuts this. But this is the bones on the outside of my arm. So if he comes across that, probably not going to cause any serious damage, right? There's no big ligaments here. There's no arteries here. It's not that vascular right here, right? So this area of the bone right here is where you're looking to suppress with, right? And then as you get into a better way to control, then you can start to control with your hands. But you need to be kind of careful of how you're getting at that arm when you suppress. And so it needs to be in some way that you can go from here to here. You shouldn't think hand first, right? Which is what we tend to do. And you see this all the time, see it in our drills all the time. So if Josh is moving the knife, then I'm going like this constantly to just lightly move it in. Yeah. So I'm going like this constantly. And every single time I'm getting my hands cut, right? So I'm getting my hands cut as I'm trying to go like this to stop him. That's bad, right? I really want to kind of be pressing like this, right? And it doesn't have to look at, if you look at modern combatives, people like to do this stuff a lot, like, oh, you cannot get me, right? So that's not quite that necessary. But Kokute, this thing that we practice all the time, this thing, does exactly that. So as he comes, boom, like this, right? I did exactly what I needed to do. I got in here and got to the knife, and then I can start to work the knife. Okay, so one, I want to give him as much distance as possible. Two, if he's pressed it in so I can't make distance, I need to get that suppression, and then I need to get in close to do some kind of work to disarm that knife. The way I'm going to disarm that knife is to isolate it and then pop it out, and I've done a million videos on that. I'm not going to waste your time right now with that. You can look at it. But so from here, I'm basically going to get some kind of grip lock, and then I'm going to work some kind of disarming technique. Okay, now, another thing we have to talk about that I think I haven't talked about much in my videos yet is the fence, right? And I'm going to have to go other hand real quick so it's easy for them to see this. Okay, so if Josh is, go forward for me first. Okay, so if Josh is here and I go in to get to that knife and he's scared that I'm going to grapple with him and take the knife from him, he's going to fence, right? So that's what he's going to do. Okay, you can spend no time here. Because time here, this is all inside the no man's land, right? And he's perfectly locked you into that no man's land. And all he's going to do is hunt and peck, right? So he's going to hunt for a spot, he's going to peck it. And I'm going to try and do this, okay? Let's say I catch him in here. This is what he's going to do when I catch him, okay? I'm not going to keep him, right? So I cannot stay here. I can't continue to struggle forward on the knife, right? So I can't be thinking in that way. So what do? Well, I do all the classic Aikido techniques because they teach us about this position whether we realize it or not. Okay, this is basically Munnet Dori, right? Okay, what am I going to work? I'm going to try and work Sotomawaris from here. I'm going to try to work Irimis from here. I'm going to try to work triangles from here. Now, an interesting thing about the triangle that maybe you think isn't true, but look, if I come out here when he starts hunting to get me, oh, look at that. My triangle can keep him from stabbing me. So if I triangle his fence, essentially I'm fencing his fence, it makes it real hard for him to stab me. Not impossible. I wouldn't want to hang out there all day, but that's what I'm looking for. Now, if you do manage to get a hold of the hand, you can work that into your disarming, right? So let's say he's fenced me, and I do manage to get a hold of the hand, and he can't pull it away, right? But which is he's probably going to get it. I can use all of this as part of my getting in, right? So I can use the whole kind of thing as one idea. But understand, The second he fences you, the second you see that hand start to come out like that, you can't stay here. You have to be working Tai no Hinko, right? And that Tai no Hinko is going to be one of the basic Tai no Hinko, but that's the objective. And quit worrying about the knife because it's going to stab you anyways. So if you hunt the knife, I guarantee he'll hold you there and stab you. But if you work the hand that's holding you, you're much more likely to get free. So that's a real basic way of how you approach someone who has a knife when you don't have a knife. That I did leave off some important things you should think about. Throw shit, right? So I think that's number one. Start throwing all the shit you can throw. So, you know, if I see a guy with a knife and I'm like, hey man, cool out. I'm picking up everything and I'm hucking it at him because I want him to freak out and leave. That's what I want him to do, right? To like lose his nerve, and hopefully other people see me throwing shit and they come throw shit too, and then he goes away, right? So I want to throw shit. If I can get any kind of longer weapon in my hand, I want to get a longer weapon in my hand. Now, I don't advise going to a shorter weapon because that's going to get you in a bad way. So I got some brass knuckles. I'm going to put them on. You know, that's a stupid idea. I've got a knife. I'm going to pull my knife. That's a stupid idea. But I'm going to take my coat off and whap it at him. Okay, that's good. I'm going to pick up a chair and hit him with the chair. That's a great idea. I'm going to pick a fire extinguisher, spray him with him, and conk him with it. That's a good idea, right? So anything I can get in my hand to help me deal with that weapon that's a longer, offers me a length advantage over that weapon, that's what I'm going to do, right? So if I could get something in my hand, I would get something in my hand. And I left that off because I was assuming there was absolutely nothing in the hand. But if you could put something in the hand, do it. So that's your basic idea of what you're going to do when someone has a knife. That's a much more realistic approach than this like, I'm going to do all this stuff. Now that's not saying that you don't need to know disarms and stuff because a situation might arise and you might need to use the disarm. But it's just your key idea is to stay at distance. That's your number one idea, and that's what you're always working for. And only if that distance breaking breaks down do you start going to other things. You don't want to try to grapple. If you saw the video with Maya and Josh, Maya grappling with Josh was way worse for her than Maya trying to do Aikido, which is keeping that distance with Josh, right? So, all right, I think I've ended this video like 3 times now, so I'm really going to end it this time. All right, so I'm Christopher Hein. This is Joshua Teehee. Maya Solano McDaniel's behind that camera right there, and we'll see you in the next video. Hey, I'm Christopher Hein. So, if you made it all the way through this video, chances are you kind of liked the way I presented stuff, or were so irritated by it that you wanted to watch more of it. So, I have a Patreon page. Maybe that's just for you. You should check it out. There are literally hundreds of videos on that Patreon page. I've been making videos for Patreon since I think 2020 or 2021, and I've been making somewhere between 2 and 5 a week. So, there are tons of videos up over there. So you might want to check that out. It's patreon.com, Christopher Hein. Hope to see you there.